Hi YouTube, on today's episode we're going to look at the Amerex 240. This is a 2.5 gallon water extinguisher for Class A fires. And in a little bit on this video I'm going to show how you actually fill it and how that works. But on this video I want to talk about why a water extinguisher. So to start this, I'm going to say you should follow the manufacturer guidelines because this has to do with, life safety stuff. So the reason that we chose to get one are kind of a few reasons. One is behind me, you can see there's a fire pit. Where we are, there's not super easy access to a garden hose. We can get one over here, but it's going to take a few minutes. And anytime we do any kind of fire stuff down here, the brush or just making a campfire, this is always close by. This comes out at a pretty good amount of pressure. And if you have that in a shovel, usually you can take care of anything that might get out of hand pretty quickly. The other reason is on the emergency preparedness side. If you live out in the country and you have dry chem extinguishers, normal ABC extinguishers, those are great. But if you're dealing with something like grass or something that's a Class A fire, wood of that kind, then it's not always best to use the dry chem because you're going to breathe it down, and from personal experience you're going to cough it up for a couple hours or maybe a day, and it's just easier to use water on some of that stuff. The other reason on emergency preparedness side is you can fill this yourself. So if you're in a situation where infrastructure has gone down, you can't just go to the store and get an extinguisher, and you're in a situation where public safety, fire department, that kind of thing, they're not at work because the event is large enough where they're wanting to stay home with their families to watch over them, then you're going to have something that's more or less like a renewable resource, like food and that kind of thing. So in the video, and I'll start inserting it now on how you actually fill it up. All right, so to do a quick overview, you have your pin, you have your pressure gauge like on a regular dry chem extinguisher, and then you have your fill point, and this is where we'll connect in a second. And you'll see the port there for something that looks like a bicycle tire or a car tire. The way you take this off is you have a ring right here. It spins off. It's important to note that all the pressure needs to be out of this, otherwise you can't get it off. And as you can see here, I discharged it yesterday. And so you go ahead and unscrew this part right here. And then this slides out. Right here. And this sits at the bottom of the extinguisher. Now, we just have a garden hose hooked up to a regular outlet. And as you can see, it's filling. We're going to fill it up, and once it's full, now you're not going to go all the way. I'll put an annotation in the bottom of how full we want it. I usually do it to about here, or about here, and then when you are ready, I'm going to slide this back on and just reverse the process. And as you fill it up, you can keep reusing it. All you have to have for this is a water source that's fairly clean, not a lot of dirt and grime and nasty stuff that's going to clog this up, and a bicycle pump, just a hand pump. So if you have something like behind me like a pond, and you're going to have filtered water anyway to drink out of, you just put the filtered water in here. It's 2.5 gallons, so it will take a while to pump, but this is, you're talking about life safety. This gives you a near continuous supply. Obviously, you can't fill it just after you use it. It's going to take, usually 5 or 10 minutes to, get everything ready, put the water in, put the pump on, take it off, screw it back on. But if you are looking at something that you can have 1 or 2 of these of, these are great options. You can stash them around. They are made of metal. They're durable. I've used these for years, almost a decade now in some aspect or another. And just like any other extinguisher, you're gonna do your pass thing. So you're gonna pull your pin, you're gonna aim it, and then you're gonna squeeze it. There you go. And you have your pressure water that comes out. And on the refill video, you'll see kind of a close-up of this piece. But there's a lot going on here. You have a device here that you actually hook the air pump onto. You have your piece that screws down that you unscrew and screw to put water in and then seal it back up. And you have a pressure gauge, just like any other extinguisher. So if you're used to every other fire extinguisher out there that is, you know, a normal one, then this gauge is just the same. So in the top, in the video that you just saw of how to fill it, you have red and green. And when you're pumping it up, you pump it up to where it's green, and you take it off just like a bicycle tire or car tire, and you're good to go. This does come with a mount, so you can put this on a wall or vehicle, whatever you want to do. Tractors, I know a lot of tractors use these. And this is just a great option. So if you are considering a grid down situation where there's no fire department, dry chem is great. You know, they always keep those everywhere. But if you want something renewable, because you can't just go and refill the dry chems and repressurize them yourself, usually not. And this is something you can do that with. So you can expend it on Class A fires, okay? And then you take the top off, you put water back in it, and you repressurize it, and you're good to go. And if you get a couple of these and you keep them near where you do campfires or move it over, you can keep one, you know, in your garage so it's outside so you can get it quickly. Something that's indoors if you want to do that. Any kind of Class A, any area that you might be worried about Class A fire. The shipping weight on this is 7 pounds empty. Then you put another 2.5 gallons of water inside of it. So it's not light. It's not going to be for a kid to carry around, at least not a young kid. But it is really sturdy. So even though it is pretty heavy, this is all metal. You know, this company's great. They make great products, and you have a little clamp on the bottom that this hose can go into, so it's not just flapping around. And this will break off. Every single one, aside from our personal one, I've seen this broken off after about a year, but it's there. And the hose is really, really strong. It's crimped really well. The plastic on the end is really strong. I've seen them hold up for years and years and years. And yes, you're spending a lot of money. You're spending $127.49 according to Amazon today. And but it's worth it, right? So if fire can go through and it can destroy everything, and if we were in a situation where you had no infrastructure, like hurricanes, earthquakes, that kind of thing, and you had no fire department that could immediately come to you, you're on your own. And you need to have ways to protect your items from getting on fire in the first place. You need to practice good safety in general. Then you need to have ways to extinguish your fires. So you need to have dry chem extinguishers or CO2 if you're doing electronic stuff. Or there are other versions that you can do for electronics that don't damage that kind of stuff. Water's really good. Water's been used for forever. This just pressurizes it in a good container. And you need to make sure that you have a way to extinguish, and then once extinguished, be able to refill something that can be a useful tool. Even a bucket of sand works really well. If you're really in dire straits, a bucket of sand has worked for a long, long time, and people still use it. But water works really good too. And just know what kind of fire you're dealing with, and you can consult other videos on that. Just for liability reasons, I don't want to go into all that. But there are lots of different fires, and there are lots of different tools to put out fires. Grease fires, you never want to spray an extinguisher on, because when you spray it, you are spraying the grease up, and that will catch your kitchen on fire. You want to do something that is not pressurized, and you can research that and see what that is. This has been the Amerex 240 2.5 gallon water Class A fire extinguisher. If you are looking at something for emergency preparedness and you want to be a little more self-reliant, if you're looking for something just where you're going to have a possibility of a Class A fire, this is a great option. It's very durable, it's strong, it's going to last a really long time. And Amazon is selling them for $128 right now, and Amerex is a great company. It's not sponsored. I've used their stuff a lot, and I've seen them take a hard beating, and they work really well. Thanks for watching.